Right, let's set up so we can use these plus and minus or add or subtract amount from our newly created basket here. So go back to your menu.view here and scroll up into where we have these icons set up for add and subtract, right? And we're going to do similar here. So add a click event to this button here, and we're going to call this increase quantity, like so. I'm just going to do the shorthand for quantity, and again we want to use the item here, right? So we want to pass through this one so it knows what to do with it, right? And we're going to attach one click here, but instead of whoopsie-daisy, there we go. But instead of increasing, we want to decrease, right? So I could have just removed some of it. Decrease quantity by a specific set. So now we have attached a function to these two buttons here. Let's go back down to our method down here. Where did it go? So after this method, so make sure if you just click this one here and you can see where it stops, do this and then do a comma separation. And then we do, the first one will be increase quantity. And we pass in our item, and then we are going to either increase or decrease the value, right? So we're just going to grab the items and then grab the quantity because we're already passing a quantity here. So let's do this quantity like this, and then we add 1, or we can do +1, that's really, but I like this way. So this will increase the quantity by 1 for each time we click the button. So that's the first one. I'm gonna copy this and be lazy, paste this in, and change this to, whoops, now remember, decrease the number, and instead of adding 1, we're going to not multiply, we're going to subtract instead. So let's click save, see if this works, and if not, then I feel like a moron. So add, and nothing happened. So we have an error somewhere. What is that error? Let's see, whoopsie-daisy, and add more, and if I click the console, nothing happens with this. And I just paused to figure out my mistake, and I really do feel like a moron now, because as you can see, if I click this, nothing happens, right? But if I go back here, I set this one to be a static one all the time. So of course it's not going to change because it's not being told to. So we have to create interpolation, whoops, that's one too many, to tell it to grab this data from our array, right? And right now we're going through the basket array. And as a starter, that one is empty because that's what we set it to. But as you can see down here, we're passing in the quantity of 1. So once the first item is being passed into the basket, this one exists, this quantity one exists. So we're going to grab the item.quantity like so. And let's click save. Let's go back and let's refresh. Let's click this one again. Let's click another one and let's start adding. So now we can see it actually adds, but we can also go to minus, which is not awesome, right? But because we can order -1 pizza, we can also not order 1 pizza, or 0 pizza, sorry, or ice creams. So we're going to add a statement down here in our code, in our, in our decrease. So if this goes to 0 or below, we should just remove it entirely, right? Cool, that's what we're gonna do. After the item quantity here, you're just going to make sure this is, once you click this minus, it's going to be ready for a new line. We're going to create an if statement here. So the if statement looks like this as a standard, and what we're going to test on is if the quantity, so the item.quantity is equal to 0, then we're going to do something specifically. So it always checks if this reaches 0, then it's going to do something, right? And what we wanted to do is we wanted to go into the basket, and if the item doesn't exist, then we wanted to go poof, so remove it from the basket. And we need to grab first of all the basket, so this .basket to actually go into this specific one, and then we're going to use the JavaScript splice here, and in the splice we're going to grab the what we call the index of, so this basket this .basket.index, I can't even say correctly now, this one here. So this will actually grab the current version or the one we're clicking, right? So it's just using the IDs of this one. And then we want to grab the items. So this here, this part here is the actual item we click. So in this case, this one. So when I click the decrease, it's passing in that item here, right? And the last thing we want to do is we want to tell you how many items we wanted to delete, and we only want to delete the one that we're clicking. So let's add this, click save, let's see if this works. So we click plus, and someone, and then we add 1, 2, 3, and then we go back. So let's see if that removes it. And we have a lot of errors over here because we haven't set that up yet. So 1, 2, 3, go back, and then if we hit 0, it removes this from our array. So we have now set up a decrease, increase, and also if we reach 0, remove item from the array so it's no longer used. All right, cool. In the next video, we're going to add a little bit more code to this basket here, so we remove some of the issues we have with like adding stuff to it.